Township Committee, February 20th, 2018. The notice requirements provided for in the Open Public Meetings Act have been satisfied. Notice of this meeting was properly given by transmission to the Star Ledger, the Independent, and the Two River Times, and by posting at the Middletown Township Municipal Building and filing with the Township Clerk on January 18, 2018. Committeeman Fiore.
Here.
Committeeman Perry.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Sedambrino.
Here.
Mayor Murray.
Here.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I'd like to ask for a moment of silence to honor our troops serving worldwide, defending our freedoms, constitutions, and way of life. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to ask the Township Committee if they would like to hold Resolution 18-101 for a separate vote. Resolution 18-101, a resolution making an appointment to fill vacancy on the Township Committee for the unexpired term of Gerard P. Sharpenberger. Resolution making appointment to fill vacancy on the Township Committee for the unexpired term of Gerard P. Sharpenberger. Whereas effective February 3rd, 2018, Gerard P. Sharpenberger resigned from the Township Committee. And whereas Gerard P. Sharpenberger was a Republican officeholder pursuant to NJSA 48:16-11. The Republican Executive Committee of the Township of Middletown convened a meeting and selected 3 names to submit to the Township Committee for consideration to fill the vacancy. And whereas the Republican Executive Committee submitted the names of Rick Heibel, Kathy Rogers, and Anthony Panzica for the Township Committee's consideration, which now must be acted upon by the Township Committee by selection of one of these 3 names to fill the vacancy.
So moved. And I'm going to nominate someone. I nominate Rick Heibel.
Second.
Committeeman Fiore.
Yes.
Committeeman Perry.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sedambrino.
Yes, sir.
Mayor Murray.
Yes.
Motion carries. So now therefore be resolved by the Township Committee of the Township of Middletown in the County of Monmouth, State of New Jersey, that hereby selects Rick Heibel to serve on the Township Committee for an expired term ending 12/31/2019 of Gerard P. Sharpenberger and shall be sworn in immediately. At this time, I'd like to invite Rick Heibel, please come forward with your family.
faithfully,
impartially, and justly perform all the duties of Township Committee member according to the best of my ability. So help me God. Rick, you have to sign
Not quite there yet.
Okay. Next on tonight's agenda, we have presentations, administration of oath of office for new police officers. At this time, I'd like to invite Officer Joseph Pisani to please come forward with your family.
My name's Lefty. How do you get a second?
It's just,
That's it. Just
it's just,
so proud.
yeah. Since the last year, they want to be.
I, Joseph Pisani,
I, Joseph Pisani,
solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of New Jersey,
and the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith
and I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and to the governments established
to the governments
in
established
the United States
in the United States
and in this state,
and in this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people.
I do swear to faithfully,
I do swear to faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties
all the duties
of police officer
of police officer
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
At this time, I'd like to invite Officer Kamano to please come forward with your family.
Yeah, Bible reading. I, Vivek Kamano,
I, Vivek Kamano,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United
and
States
the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the
this state
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and do swear to faithfully,
and I do swear to faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties
all the duties
of police officer
of police officer
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability. So help me God.
Maybe I have no problem with that.
At this time, I'd like to invite Officer Donald Porter. Please come forward with your family.
I, Donald Porter,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United
of
States
the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of New
of
Jersey,
the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith
and I will bear true
and
faith
allegiance to the same,
and allegiance to the same,
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state,
and in this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and do swear to faithfully,
and I do swear to faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties
all the duties
of police officer
of police officer
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
We're going on this side.
At this time, I'd like to invite Officer Joshua Rivette to please come forward with your family.
I, Joshua Rivette,
I, Joshua Rivette,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of New
of the
Jersey,
State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith
and I will bear true faith
and allegiance
and allegiance
to the same,
to the same,
to the governments established
to the governments
in
established
the United States
in the United States
and in this state,
and in this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and I do swear to faithfully,
and I do swear to faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties
all the duties
of police officer
of police officer
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Last one.
I think Chief has a couple things to say.
I'm going to keep it brief, because I know we're back to work at 3:30, back to police academy tomorrow morning, so I'll labor too long. I'd like to thank the mayor and the committee for allowing us to make these appointments. Officer Basani actually joined the foreman in December on an intergovernmental transfer program from the Middlesex County Sheriff's Department, followed by Officer Camano, Officer Porter, and Officer Rivette. Officer Basani, also a trained police officer, worked for the Middlesex County Sheriff's Department, both experienced excellent additions to the department. And Officer Porter, previously employed as a Federal Reserve Bank police officer, extensive military background. Officer Camano, 8 years in the United States Army, Officer Porter, 8 years United States Army officer, vet, 8 years, and 2 years in the reserve of the United States Navy. So very distinguished group of candidates. We have an excellent position department, and confident we do an outstanding job.
Our next item on tonight's agenda, we have the approval of minutes for December 18th, 2017 exec session and regular meeting minutes. Then we have January 7th, 2018 reorganization meeting minutes. So moved. Committeeman Fiore.
Yes.
Committeeman Perry.
Yes.
Committeeman Hybel.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Senabrino.
Yes.
Mayor Murray.
Yes.
Motion carries to approve minutes. At this time, we have introduction of proposed ordinances. Our first ordinance, 2018-3215, an ordinance prohibiting certain business uses associated with the growth, production, and sale of recreational marijuana within the Township of Middletown and establishing minimal additional use standards for medical marijuana-related facilities. Motion to introduce.
Second.
Committeeman Fiore.
Yes.
Committeeman Perry.
Yes.
Committeeman Hybel.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Senabrino.
Yes.
Mayor Murray.
Yes.
Motion carries to pass this ordinance on first reading with a public hearing to be determined in the future. Our next ordinance for introduction, we have 2018-3216, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 362 of the Code of the Township of Middletown, establishing a no-knock registry. Motion to introduce.
Second.
Committeeman Fiore.
Yes.
Committeeman Perry.
Yes.
Committeeman Hybel.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Senabrino.
Yes.
Mayor Murray.
Yes.
Motion carries to pass this ordinance on first reading with a public hearing to be held at our March 5th workshop meeting. Our next ordinance for introduction, we have 2018-3217, an ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and establish a cap bank. Motion to introduce. Committeeman Fiore.
Yes.
Committeeman Perry.
Yes.
Committeeman Hybel.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Senabrino.
Yes.
Mayor Murray.
Yes.
Motion carries to pass this ordinance on first reading with a public hearing to be held March 5th. March 5th, 2018. At this time, I'd like to ask the Township Committee to adopt the consent agenda, which would include resolutions 18-91 through 18-100, and including bingo and raffle applications. So moved. Committeeman Fiore.
Yes.
Committeeman Perry.
Yes.
Committeeman Hybel.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Senabrino.
Yes.
Mayor Murray.
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt the consent agenda. At this time, we have Township Committee comments.
I am going to call upon our newly appointed committeeman, Rick Hybel, this evening first.
Congratulations to the new officers. Great job, it's a great town to work in. I want to say thank you to the Township Committee, the County Committee for selecting me. We look forward to doing a great job. That's it. That's all I have.
Okay.
Did you advise Greenman Hybel was going to speak for at least 10 minutes?
We're joking. Nobody should talk for 15 minutes. Or even 10. I'm going to go with Committeeman Perry this evening now.
Thank you, Mayor. Congratulations to those committeemen. Look forward to working with you. Your great family is here who I've gotten to know you and your family. It's just an honor for you, for us to have you, for the town to have you. Your experience as chief, I see former Chief Hybel in the audience as well. And it's great to have such a rooted family, Middletown family to have somebody up here, and I really look forward to working with you, and I know that it's going to benefit greatly as the residents of Middletown. A special thank you to the 4 police officers. What a great day for them, their family. They have an incredibly hard and difficult job, and sometimes we really we need to pay attention to how incredible they are. Middletown is continually rated one of the best towns, not only in New Jersey, safest towns in New Jersey, but in all of the United States. So, and that's a credit to our police department. I know the chief was here. I see Deputy Chief Stefanski, Deputy Chief Dollinger, all of our police officers here. It's all credit to them. And then the one resolution that I just want to comment on, the shared service agreement. I know it's a part of the consent agenda, but just a win for the taxpayers of Middletown, having that agreement in place. It's going to save our residents that little bit extra cash. So with that, I have nothing else to share.
Thank you. Committeeman Fury.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few quick things this evening. First of all, my colleague has said congratulations to Rick for joining the Township Committee. I know you're going to do great things. I've had the pleasure of working with you in a variety of capacities through the fire department and other volunteer ventures, planning board, and otherwise. So I really look forward to working together with you. I know it's a lot to take in on your first meeting, so we have a big job to do, and I am very confident that you will succeed in every single way. So proud to support you with welcome you to our committee. I just also wanted to take a second to also recognize the other 2 people who were on the list. As you know, under Title 19, it is the job of the local party when you're filling a vacancy to nominate 3 names, and then the township committee has to make that decision. And I could say, the last 2 times we've had to do this, and it's been both recently, and it hasn't happened quite a long time since then, but we've been very fortunate to have great community volunteers to choose from, and this time is no exception. And I just wanted to point out, we are so blessed to have other people who are willing to step up, like Tony Panzica and Kathy Rogers, 2 volunteers who do so much for this community, who give so selflessly, and we're willing to also to join this committee. So thank you, Tony. Thank you, Kathy Rogers. I know she's not in attendance on leave today, but we were very fortunate to have such a great deep bench to choose from, and we really appreciate all that you do for Middletown, and look forward to continuing to work with you on many endeavors for the community. And just finally, Mayor, I echo what my colleague said about the shared service agreement. I also know that we introduced the no-knock ordinance here, which is something that I know the residents have asked for. So look forward to delivering that or passing that upon its reading. Finally, I'm sorry, I'd be remiss if I didn't say congratulations to the 4 police officers also, and the leadership of the police department for bringing them forward for us. So thank you.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. So with the fear of sounding repetitive, although I know new Committeeman Rick Tybel won't object, I want to congratulate him to being appointed a member of the Township Committee. I'm excited to serve with you, and we gave you an opportunity a couple minutes before we made the appointment. But look, we're glad you're part of the team here, and it is certainly a team, and we appreciate everything that you bring and all your experience to this governing body. So thank you very much. Look forward to serving with you. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention now freeholder Sharpenberg, who new Committeeman Rick Tybel has assumed his spot on the committee. He is certainly very busy this evening, but as next meeting, Rick?
No, the second March meeting.
We look forward to properly thanking him for his service here in the township. A couple of other items. Certainly, congratulations to the 4 officers. Their experience is second to none, and we're lucky to have them here in Middletown. When you look at the depth of what they bring to the Middletown Police Department, it just adds and butresses the fact that Middletown is one of the safest places to live in the country, in the state. Two other quick items. Committeeman Perry and I had the pleasure of attending an outreach by Monmouth Medical about a week and a half ago or so. So we had been invited to that as a part of the Mayor's Roundtable and certainly want to bring back to the community all the offerings of Monmouth Medical and any questions that anyone may have as a conduit between the governing body and the hospital. So we were happy to attend that. And last week, the Mayor and I had attended a outreach dinner right to Sarah Gallo. It was a great event. It was last two Saturdays ago. And again, it's just a testament to the organizations and the schools that we have here in our community that help make our town certainly the best in the state. And with that, that's all I have for this evening, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to be brief tonight because I think that we have a lot of public tonight, and I'm fairly certain people want to make some comments. But I did want to mention one thing that Committeeman Perry and I and Deputy Chief Dollinger also went to the Ideal Beach Association. I see we're represented at every meeting. They are a model neighborhood group, model neighborhood citizens group, and we also have a new group starting up in Leonardo. So I just wanted to give a shout out to them. The no-knock ordinance, as Committeeman Fiore mentioned, that's something that our residents have been asking for. So I'm very glad to see that moving forward. I was also invited to a Monmouth County Mayor's Roundtable with the governor this Saturday. And I'm happy to report it was a very engaging discussion with all of the Monmouth County mayors. Most of them were in attendance. And we had a good talk with our governor, who, as many of you know, this is his hometown. Welcome to Rick. Very excited to have you here. I first worked with Rick not only when he was a deputy chief, but during my tenure as mayor in 2015. So I'm very excited and proud to have him up here with us, and I think he's going to be a great addition to the team. And I would be remiss also if I didn't mention that I had the honor of swearing in Haley Beekman in the Port Monmouth Fire Company. She is our first female captain in the Middletown Fire Department. We're very proud of her. She's certainly not only a role model for young women in Middletown, but certainly beyond. And also welcome to our 4 new police officers. So with that, I am going to turn it over to the public, and let's get the show on the road. Is there anyone who would like to make a public comment? Yes. Sir, I just want to tell you, name and address, and we have a 5-minute rule.
My name is Lefty Grimes. I'm from East Hanover. Phil Murphy is legalizing cannabis for social justice issues in New Jersey. I'm a little shocked that Middletown is going to try to ban dispensaries. I'm a little shocked that the reefer madness is coming out of this town. You're only hurting blacks and Latinos, but that's what reefer madness is. I'm going to tell you, your parents lied to you. They lied to me too, but they had no choice. They were lied to by our government. And if you don't believe me, do the research on Harry Anslinger and the drug war, and why we have a drug war. The drug war was created by racists to keep blacks and Latinos down. There was, Harry Anslinger was the mouthpiece of Mellon, Hearst, and DuPont. They had special interest in keeping hemp out of the hands of Americans. Cannabis was in the American pharmacopoeia for years up until they made it illegal. That's all we had at that time. When you talk about reefer madness, you talk about institutional racism and institutional sexism. And it's sad that last century's thinking is still here in the state today. Harry Anslinger said things like this to Congress, and they ate this right up. He says, there are over 100,000 total marijuana smokers in the USA. Most are Negroes, Hispanics, Filipinos, and entertainers. Their satanic music, jazz and swing, result from marijuana usage. This marijuana causes white women to seek sexual relations with Negroes, entertainers, and many others. Marijuana leads to pacifism and communist brainwashing. Reefer makes darkies think they're as good as white men. This is all, you can look this all up. Said this to Congress. Marijuana is the most violence-causing drug in the history of mankind. The primary reason to outlaw marijuana is its effect on the degenerate races. You smoke a joint and you're likely to kill your brother. I mean, this is garbage. And we're still living this, guys? Really? It's 2018. My friend died last year because he couldn't get cannabis, because they made it so hard under Governor Christie. You sell fentanyl in this town, you sell OxyContin in this town, you sell roxicodone, you sell all these horrible drugs in this town, yet you want to limit cannabis dispensaries. Cannabis got me off of roxicodone. I was on 90 milligrams of Roxy every 3 hours. 90 milligrams every 3 hours for my back pain. I'm standing in here with a lot of pain. I have an artificial disc, I have a fusion, I have stenosis in my neck. I use cannabis and it got me off all of those pills. I take 0 pills now. And some of these other people in this room will attest to that. A lot of other patients will attest to that. The people that are in this room are people that are healthy enough to stand in front of you. There are people you will not see that are shut-ins, that are in wheelchairs, that you will never hear from, but that need cannabis, that need it close to them. The closest one here is, I believe, Woodbridge, where my friend has to drive 40 minutes to go.
Is that medical marijuana?
Medical cannabis.
We're not outlawing medical marijuana.
Well, yeah, you kind of are, because...
We aren't.
No, we're not. You are. Fraud.
Yeah, you kind of are. You're using semantics now to hurt patients and to enforce racist policies, and we're kind of sick of it. We're kind of sick of the racism of the drug war. We're done with it. My friend Jay died because of this systematic racism and systematic institutional racism. He died last year. He called me 2 weeks before he died. He says, Lefty, I want to go off this stuff like you did. I want to get in the program. How do I get in the program? Well, I gave him a list of doctors. I gave him a list of the stuff he had to do. It's going to cost him $200 here, $200 there. He has to wait, maybe get another approval, and then go get overpriced cannabis at the dispensary. Well, he wound up dying last year. He died overdosing. And then we couldn't help him. And this is happening all over New Jersey. All over New Jersey, this is happening, and cannabis will save these people. People need to realize that cannabis is the answer for this drug opium epidemic. It got me off of it. For 10 years, I suffered under opiates. 10 years. 90 milligrams every 3 hours. Well, at the end of our podcast, we do a podcast outside Chris Christie's office. Now it's Bill Murphy's office. And at the end of our podcast, we have a tribute to our dead friends who died. 1 out of 10 medical cannabis patients die every year. That's just a number we can't escape. Every year, 1 out of 10 die. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not worry them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
Thank you, Leslie.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to make, yes, sir?
Yes.
Yes, come forward, please. Just your name and address, please.
Scott Reed, Middletown, New Jersey.
Thank you.
Your address in Middletown for the record.
My address in Middletown, 430 Prospect. I'd like to start off by saying thank you for the vote. I have been since up until recently, I've been a volunteer firefighter in this county, pretty much since I was 18. I served here in Middletown until I moved, so all I ask in return is you guys just need to be serious. I got hurt years back, and they sent me to a doctor in Keensburg who got me totally, and it was off to the run. Multiple doctors, multiple problems, issues, and quality of life down. I got legal heroin, basically that's exactly what I'm going to call it. I got legal heroin in a pill from doctors in this town. Okay, I filled that prescription at multiple pharmacies in this town. Okay, and when I tried to seek help, I went to another place, which is a methadone clinic, which, hey, each his own. It saved my life at the time. Okay, to get off of that, I used marijuana, and I did have my card for a little bit, and Mr. Grimes that spoke before is right. It is a long, tedious process that costs upwards of $600 to $1,000 by the time you actually have any medical cannabis in your hand. Man, that's a lot of money. That's not like going to your doctor and saying, hey, my back hurts. I need Oxycontin. Oh, no problem, let me write a prescription. And I understand you're not attacking medical issues, but the issue becomes that I can go have 10 beers at OVP and get in a fist fight outside, and these guys gotta respond. They'll tell you, it happens in bars. The taxes that you are going to benefit from selling cannabis in this town are going to put school books in schools, laptops. They're going to fill these potholes we got all over town. You drive the roads too. It costs money. DPW does do a good job, by the way. It'll help fill the gap in the overtime cost of snow removal, because let's face it, it's pretty expensive in this town.
But listen, I just want to stop you just before you just talk a little bit about the finances and the economics of it. Apparently, the way the legislation is currently written, if it passes, the percentage that'll come back to the municipalities is minuscule. The state's going to take the lion's share. So our resources would be so taxed, and the finances coming back to be able to
I understand.
compensate for that part.
We're going to spend the resources to enforce ordinance that we're passing in this town, which...
No, it's where I think that what the mayor is trying to explain is, we're not passing anything. This is an introduction. An introduction, it's an introduction that's pending legislation, if legislation ever happens, right? So the reason we introduce this is because we want to, oftentimes the state passes legislation in which they just force down upon municipalities. Code is a perfect example of that, right? So in terms of zoning regulations, where you can build housing, where you can build this, where you can build that. State makes a law, state passes it down. Once they pass it, you can't rezone your issues. So we're not passing anything at this point. We're introducing, which protects our rights to say that we had put this in place prior, if we don't believe the legislation will be beneficial to the municipality. We're not here to, I personally am not an opponent to medical marijuana. I don't have a real strong opinion one way or the other of recreation, okay? I'm more of a libertarian in that part. But, as the mayor stated, there's this false notion upon the economics of passing recreational marijuana and its effects. And I think just what you said there is a false notion. As the current legislation is written, they're projecting $300 million, okay, in sales of recreational marijuana. They plan on giving 3% back to the municipalities. There are 565 municipalities in the state of New Jersey. That's about $51,000 a piece. That's not going to fill a pothole. It's not going to hire a police officer. It's not going to put a book in anybody's hands. So what we're saying here is the state is great. And my argument, you probably read it in the paper, is that the state is great at hitting Middletown with what we call unfunded state mandates. They are great at costing us money and taking all of the benefit. What we are saying here is we're going to wait to see the legislation. And if it makes economic sense, we will amend our ordinance potentially. We will not pass our ordinance. We can do a myriad of different things. We're keeping an open mind. But the last thing I won't speak for my community, want to see is the state jam it to Middletown once again. And they're very good at it. They've done it under Republicans and Democrats and everybody else. So that's what we're trying to protect the interest. We're not here taking a hardline position.
I'm not pointing a finger.
Right, but I'm just letting you know what my thinking and
Yes,
our.
I'm just trying to share my experience with it and how beneficial it could be to the town.
But the other part of this is, and for me as well, this isn't a moral judgment. I honestly, I couldn't, it's none of my business what people want to do if it's legal. And I don't care, honestly. But this is a zoning ordinance. So this is really just talking about the sale and the processing. You know, if it becomes legal, it's something that's legal. It's just we're talking about essentially a zoning ordinance, which will not permit the growth, the sale, with processing.
It all depends on how the legislation works.
Well, we don't know yet. That's why we've only introduced it. So we're waiting to see what shakes out. If anything shakes out.
Business will be the pretenses of managing that business, will be its source, you know? I'm just honestly asking.
Because the resources that we have, we couldn't possibly be able to enforce or take care of.
Yeah, but
Those type
we're enforcing the cannabis law is now. This would be possibly regulated, something like the state ABC alcohol beverage control, they would have to.
Again, that's not written yet, and that's what we're waiting
I
for.
know.
So we're just protecting the township, the municipality's right to make sure that the state can't preempt this. It's all it is.
All right, well, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to? Yeah?
Yep.
Okay, wait, I see 3 hands. You could come down first. Just name and address.
My name is Colleen Beckley. I actually live in Morristown, New Jersey. That's M-O-R-E-S, in Burlington County. And again, I do understand that you said you were going to determine a later date to hear this. And I don't want to occupy New Jersey zoning boards with endless, testimonies about procuring the marijuana and medical marijuana zoning issues. But we do want to let you guys know, just keep an open mind. And I really like that. I was wondering why zoning boards kept wanting to hear this marijuana zoning issue before the regulations came out. And that was interesting that you just shared with us that it's, to protect yourselves from the state of New Jersey ramming into local municipalities. Being marijuana consumers, we're kind of used to the state ramming it to us as well. So, we can agree on that issue. Maybe we can move forward with conversation, And I definitely also, as a Republican who is fiscally responsible and, the way I try to look at government and budgets, I think that's really wise of you guys to say, hey, $300 million with 52 municipalities, that's not that much.
565 million.
565, I'm sorry. That's not that much money. And maybe if municipalities wanted to put a little bit of pressure on the state and have a voice at the table about how much money they want and what they want to do with the money, I think that would be great for society. Unfortunately, the medical program has gone to what seems to be just the pharmaceutical cartel has taken over a hermit crab shell of an unregulated industry at this point. So as consumers and these patients, they have concerns about that. They're legitimate. So, if we can work with government officials, if we could start at zoning boards, we apologize, we're not trying to occupy your zoning board. We don't want to make you guys nervous or anything. And I think it is not a moral judgment. I mean, I hated when they were hearing the medical marijuana zoning in Maple Shade, New Jersey, Compassion Sciences, which ended up going to Belmar. It kind of got portrayed, I felt bad for the zoning people. It was like, you hate sick people, you don't allow these people to open up in this town. And I know those people, they don't hate sick people, some of them are, and have family and friends that benefit from this. So, we just wanted to basically work with you guys. We'll be glad to give you any information. But, my name's Colin David. We'll hang out for a little bit. In case you have any questions, I'd love to crunch numbers with you. See ya. And oh my gosh, that was such an honor, by the way. The police force, I have to say, is amazing. Just absolutely amazing. We got to interact with them a little bit before the meeting. And just they really conduct themselves with the utmost respect, professionalism. I mean, I really got to hand this to these guys. They are awesome.
Okay, we love to see it.
It seems also like you got great vets, and Middletown is a little bit like where I grew up in Morristown, New Jersey. So, I kind of can identify with some of your issues and stuff. But awesome, good luck, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I gotta say also, this zoning board, you guys get it. You understand you want to protect yourselves while leaving your offices open. And that's, other zoning boards want to do that. That's great. We encourage them to. Let's unite.
Thank you. Bye. Would anybody else like to make a comment? Yes, ma'am.
You can go.
Oh, wait, you want to come first?
It doesn't matter.
Come on up. You left your dog down there. You're spitting so good.
There we go. The first sheet, yeah. You said the crime rate is the second safest in New Jersey, or all over, or is it?
I'm sorry, can you
Second meeting address and so, Judy Bowler, 331 Florence Road.
You could,
You were saying that Middletown is the second state safest, what, as far as crime, earlier?
I think that was my colleague.
Okay.
It was Middletown, two consecutive years has been on the list of the top 10 safest places
Who
to
made
live.
that?
I can't tell you what the,
Sarah, do you remember the
Statewide.
statewide? That's our public information officer.
Well, that's interesting because within 2 weeks' time, like brake lines were cut on purpose, and then somebody broke into my house. Police officer did not take it serious at all. Yeah, I thought it was no big deal when I was AAA and they took pictures of it. And then a week later, somebody broke into my house. So I had a problem with that. Your police officers leave children over a parent, and they do the rent a parent that does not even live in town over the parent who's raising the children. And the police officers leave the children as well over the county. You have hospitals that turn people away. You have doctors that are crooked. You have therapists that are crooked that leave information for people who don't live here. The roads are horrible. We pay the highest taxes anywhere. And what is the issue? Where are the minorities? The kids don't have any diversity here at all. All I see is white people. I see a lot of black people getting pulled over though. You have zoning issues with that too? Only white people in Middletown? I don't see black people, I don't see Asians, I don't see Mexicans. They're all red bank and they get harassed. They get to go to court. They're afraid to freaking leave their house. They stay over there. And when they know that the immigration's coming, they hide. They can't even go to court to testify because they're afraid because the police officers are waiting for them at the door to take them out of here and move them back. Or a doctor who is telling us their first code of ethics is do no harm. Oh, they hurt me a lot. I can't even get a pain management doctor to address my pain. I can go to Newark once a month to get medications that I need for the amount of pain that I'm in. I've been doing this for over a year. Yeah. You have therapists who share information that's private information with other parties. That's wrong. Terrible. You comment how wonderful your police department is. No, they're not. They don't do their job. They don't listen.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who'd like to make a public comment? Yes, ma'am.
Rose Reno from Marshall, New Jersey. And I would like to offer a little history and health benefits of cannabis, because so many people do fear the legalization of it. So there are records of the cannabis plant being used as herbal medicine around the world since about 6,000 years before Christ. So for someone to say that we are trying to revive the image of a drug is historically and scientifically inadequate. Cannabis was a major crop of colonial America up until 1937, when the United States government decided they were going to try and wipe a plant off the face of the earth for the sake of profits of several high pollution industries. It was a river of deceit that exploited racism to scare and fool the public. They burned the crops, they burned the books, and tried to gain full control of its medicinal and industrial secrets. This is one of the biggest lies ever perpetrated onto the American people. As a result, we lost an entire generation of research, education, and understanding, along with the unnecessary pain and suffering of our loved ones who could have been helped by this most complex and versatile plant. The false information campaign for profit continues to this very day, and is foremost a major contributor to the prison industrial complex. The truth is that cannabis and hemp can replace the many toxic combinations of synthetic drugs that are now handed out like candy for thousands of health issues. The truth is that hemp and cannabis have nutritional value as a food and a nutritional supplement. The truth is that it can be used as a biofuel, a bioplastic, textiles, building material, paper, body care products, replace thousands of environmentally harmful and health-damaging products we have been otherwise force-fed. Hemp and CBD extract of the cannabis plant do not alter the state of mind, so banning these products was proof of pure greed. When people do not understand the value of this plant, they fear it, and many adopt a condescending attitude on the subject. I would like to submit some research about the health benefits of cannabis, which may help use to help educate residents. Simply put, the plant is made up of hundreds of cannabinoids. Our bodies have hundreds of cannabinoid receptors and is called the endocannabinoid system. Our bodies want to receive cannabinoids because it contributes to our health, it promotes health, and actually builds brain cells. It promotes homeostasis and equilibrium. Cannabis as medicine helps millions of people with serious illnesses such as cancer, multiple sclerosis, migraines, seizures, PTSD, pain, depression, alcoholism, and stress. This research is only about 25 years old because of prohibition. We have much more to learn. Please understand a monumental re-education needs to occur. We can no longer hide information from our children. If we do not educate them, they will learn it on the street. So please encourage and contribute to the understanding. As with pharmaceuticals, I would encourage people not to drive or operate heavy machinery if they're going to use the plant. They should not use it if they are already drunk on alcohol. But they need to learn there are various forms in which it can be taken as medicine that do not alter your state of mind. They need to learn about dosage and how it can be administered to severely ill children as a medicine instead of subjecting them to harsh chemical medicines and surgeries. As a New Jersey resident, I would like to see the state and future entrepreneurs treat this plant with the respect that it deserves as a medicine, and not promote it with bright colors and cartoon characters as is allowed for alcohol, which does kill brain cells and causes liver cancer, liver disease. There's donuts on every corner with their cancer-causing sugars and diabetes causing sugar. And there's fast food on every other corner with their heart disease causing food-like products. So please feel encouraged, your residents, to do more research. If there's a little starter tape for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, sir.
My name is Richard Borowski. I live in Spotswood, New Jersey. However, I just want to let you guys know that I've lived on and off in Middletown for most of my life. My mother lived the rest of the balance of life right over here in Spotswood. I'm very familiar and living here. I'm very familiar with all aspects of being a resident here in Middletown.
Welcome back.
Right on. Thank you very much, Mayor. Congratulations to your police officer. I've never seen anything like that. It was so cool. You know, I 24 years ago, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. I also have post-traumatic stress disorder. I have been on a litany of drugs, everything from very, very simple steroids. I mean, the kind you get poison ivy to self-injected low-dose chemo. Up until 11 months ago, I pretty much was shutting my ass for the last 3 tax stream of revenue that I think any town, especially a township as large as a municipality that is as large as this, could benefit from. There's so much more to it than just someone's own pie. Yes, I know that there's a social stigma attached to it. I mean, we've all been, as someone else said, we've had a 70-year government-sponsored program of disinformation about counties. I urge you all to educate yourselves about it. It's not all Cheech and Chong. I mean, I don't look like Cheech and Chong. I don't live my life that way. I'm a father and grandfather. I pay my taxes and I'm a good guy. I am the guy who wants to stop and try to rotate a flat tire. More importantly, the things that go through my mind when I think about this subject is, I don't think I could stretch imagination or anything to say a fair amount or a fair distribution of all the people who live in this town. And I applaud your efforts in letting the public know that this is something you're considering. And I'm really happy that you're considering it, you're not just shutting it off. I know that the county freeholders have had their say in things, and I understand that you all work together, but by no means does that make anything permanent, as that was just a gesture from what I was told. It was a gesture. Apparently, but it was a gesture to say that one of the county freeholders may not be, or actually they said they are not interested in this. By no means do they speak for everyone who lives in Monmouth County. They speak for the political machine that is here. Albeit, I don't care if you're Republican. Keep filling the blank. I really care less. I'm here to talk about people who are hurting. I know what it's like not to have a voice and have decisions made for me that I don't necessarily agree with. And I guarantee there's someone within walking distance here that wishes that they could be or even know about what is going on. Just to give you a little bit of my background, I was a drug and alcohol counselor for 18 years. I would consider myself an expert on the disease condition. I also treated people with mental illness. I too, like some other people said, I was prescribed some very, very serious, very, very harsh, opiate, narcotic medication. I did nothing but follow the prescription. And inherently with that particular type of medication, you become addicted to it. It's just the way it works. However, a lot of times people associate marijuana as, or I don't want to use the word marijuana as cannabis, without even talking about cannabis. They associate it with being some kind of entryway into something that works. And I'm saying my professional experience, upwards of 90% of the people that I treated began with something completely different than cannabis. I can't pretend to think how many liquor licenses you have here in the city. I'm sure.
Not as many as you would think. Not as many as you would think for town this size.
Well, I'm sure it's sizable in comparison to one dispensary.
Right, so I think just, I don't, but so just from my perspective, and I said what I said about the state, but, a lot of people come on, and you're now the second or third person come up and talk about, alcohol and bars. And if you ask this committee, if the state asked us to put 100 more bars or, alcohol distributors in the township of Middletown, would we agree to it? We would tell you no, right? Okay, no way, right? And why would we tell you no? Even if the state was going to get 97% of it, we would tell you no because clearly, there's going to be some potential correlation for enforcement of DUI, for example, right? And look, the more you have, the more possibility, right? So it's really the same thing that we have to balance and think about when you talk about this zoning ordinance or for legalization, right? It's not the fact that we're making any moral judgments. We're actually taking a very open mind, as you've heard tonight. It's just what we're doing is we believe is the best interest at this point. From my perspective, if you open And you're right, you can do 3 different ways, and maybe we'll be open to grow, or maybe we'll be open to packaging, maybe it'll be, maybe it'll be even sale and distribution. But if you do have sale and distribution, there's no way that anyone can stand here and tell me that you won't have one person, or 100 people, or 10 people that potentially will, like they will go into a bar, use it wrong, right, and get behind the wheel. It's just human nature. And what we're saying is, right now, the way the law is written, there's going to be an enforcement cost of that. And it'll cost this municipality more to enforce than the general stigma of Colorado or Washington, and I've done the research too, or what the state of New Jersey and Trenton, where we say Trenton takes from us. There's not a doubt that right now, the way it's written, it is going to cost us more than it's going to benefit us economically, which is going to create a tax protection. So if the economics change, hey, this may never see the light of day, right? But right now, as it's written, it just doesn't, the X and Y are just not going to correlate. Now, it could all change. So that's the point, I think, we make about enforcement. There will be a cost of enforcement, no matter what. No matter what we do, there's always a cost of enforcement. Build another 10 houses, there's a cost of enforcement, we have another 20 people, right? So it's the same mentality. So I just want to clarify. We wouldn't put 100 more bars in if they allowed us to.
It was
So.
one other thing.
I'm not the timer.
No, it's all right, it's all right. You're over your time, but it's okay.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
There are licensing fees, there are application fees, 100% of which go to the townships. That money. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to make, yes, sir, in the red shirt.
You go first, it's okay. Yeah, please go first. It's okay.
I am Mayor, 49 South Woodman, Middletown. And I would always just make a quick comment on one of the items on the consent agenda this evening with regard to the resolution for the examination of the master plan. I was really happy to see that you guys are recognizing that development is not currently happening in a rational and controlled way, and I'm really happy to see that you're going in the right direction. Thank you.
Sir.
Good evening, council. How are you doing today?
Hi, how are you?
My name is Sheep Giordano. I am a union representative for the United Food and Commercial Workers Union, Local 152. I'm here today to speak about cannabis and labor and how that coexists. First off, just to be clear, UCW is bipartisan. We represent Democrats and Republicans, so please don't think we disrupt the Democrats. We represent and fight with people who represent the working class.
So do we.
Good, excellent. So the UCW represents approximately 1.2 million members across the United States, Canada, and Puerto Rico. In New Jersey, we have a couple 100,000 members. We have a few thousand in this area. Our members work in ShopRite, Acme, manufacturing, warehouse, and healthcare. The big thing that I'm here for, the reason I'm here to talk about it, is that we represent cannabis workers across the states that have medical and recreational. Through representing these workers, we were able to not only get above the quote-unquote living wage of $15 an hour, but we have people starting out at $22 an hour, full benefits, pension, and sick time, vacation time, and labor guarantees, which I think is great. The one thing that Mr. Fiore, I think you brought up a figure about 300,000. That's the low of, I'm sorry, 300 million. That's the low estimate. There was another estimate going up to almost 500 million based on taxes, on licensing fees and so forth. If you want, I can share the article with you if you want.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Okay.
If you have it, that'll be great.
Okay, great. The one thing that we want to let you know is, I know that there's a lot of concern specifically with recreational cannabis. We have worked with states, specifically California is one of the largest states we worked with, where we created an apprenticeship program through state colleges and Notre Dame University. So I would really suggest that we talk to labor, specifically the UFCW, and take the leadership role of maybe starting an apprenticeship program right here. working with us, training these workers, and creating good paying jobs. The other thing to understand, specifically within the cannabis industry, is when you look at executives, women and executives, only about 23% of women count for the executives in the United States. In cannabis, it's up to 37% already that women are taking a leadership role in cannabis. So I think that's an important thing too, especially with a lot of young entrepreneurs, specifically in this area. When looking at cannabis, I try to refer to it as with the Teamsters as well. Teamsters represent mostly of the alcohol industry. And because the Teamsters get paid a good living wage with benefits and retirement, you don't see a Teamster passing out 30 cases of Budweiser to a kid. And I do believe that we can do the same thing. By creating a strong wage and a strong job for employees within this township, you will take away that opportunity for them to give out cannabis to people that are underage. And the UFCW would be willing to work with you on that. The other thing is, the taxes. I know that, based on the low estimates, it doesn't seem like a lot. But if we look at the tourism format as well, you'll be getting a lot of out-of-state people as well. And I think the one thing that a lot of people are concerned with, and the reason I'm talking briefly about this is because with the UFCW, we've been able to see this industry from the ground up. And cannabis is not a cheap product. When people come in, it's much easier for a person to go buy a beer than it is to buy a cannabis product. So you're going to get a upper income person that's buying cannabis for recreational use compared to medical. Medical is a whole other issue. Another thing that the UFCW has been working on, if you're worried about safety, and again, I want to bring this up because I think it's important because we haven't talked about this much tonight. The other issue is banking, right? One of the issues is banking. A lot of dispensaries cannot, they can't put their cash anywhere because of the way that it is scheduled on the federal level. The UFCW is working with dispensary owners and putting that into our credit unions. So the UFCW has done that in California and other states as well. So if that is an issue, we're welcome to work with that as well. There are many dispensary owners that are around this country that are unionized, that we have relationships with, who we would absolutely give you names for. If you want responsible small business owners who are looking to make good jobs and good revenue for this township, let's talk. On a personal level, when it comes to the medical cannabis, the one issue...
I'm sorry, respectfully, just have to wrap up.
Oh, sure. Well, look, the United Food and Commercial Workers Union stands behind cannabis. We have a whole division on a national level, and we don't want to see any type of ordinance passed that blocks recreational and or medical. And if you want to work together on this and take a leadership role, which I am glad that you guys are open to talking about these type of things. I didn't know how today was going to be, but please speak to us. Please reach out to us before you make any votes or rash decisions, because we think we have a lot of ideas and programs that can work to not only make revenue, but protect the youth and create good jobs.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
These are matter members of the Township Committee. Michael Seco from 46 Alexander Drive, to address Senate Resolution 18-98, the resolution that conditionally designates the redevelopment for the town hall complex. And I note in paragraph 1 of the resolution that there will be entering into exclusive negotiations between township representatives and the conditional redeveloper, the company by the name of Friends on Acquisition and Development LLC. And I was curious as to who that entity was. I did some research on that entity. I learned that entity is a commercial and residential developer. From their website, it describes themselves as private real estate investment and management company, specializing in the acquisition, development, and management of retail, multi-family, office, industrial, I look at the representative points or centers that they have built, every one is a very, very significant commercial development. And that also is on their website. There's probably 15 Kmart's, Albertsons supermarkets, CVS, Kroger. The redevelopment plan, I assume, it includes this building, the redevelopment area. I'd like to understand, if you would, what is the plan for redeveloping where we stand here today and the rest of this municipal complex? Is it to do a high density commercial or retail, commercial and residential space? Or has that not been talked about? Because restaurant isn't exactly a not-for-profit kind of thing. They are a very serious commercial developer in the United States. So if anyone has an explanation as to what is planned, I appreciate it.
The redeveloper was selected as the result of a public request for proposal process in which the governing body went out to anyone that met the qualifications, set a redevelopment plan for this building and for this property, which is larger than the proposed building itself. I think only about 72,000 square foot new municipal building, plus additional properties on the site. And we had two proposals received, and we did interview with regard to those two proposals. At this point, we're entering into negotiations with one of them, and there's nothing final at this point. But those, the proposals were in response to a request for proposal, which outlined what the governing body wanted to see in the area and needed redevelopment. So,
what the governing body does want to see on this property?
A new municipal complex
And is this entity
and
prepared to
3 pad sites, hopefully.
right.
And what I'm sorry, Mayor, I didn't.
Pad sites.
Right, so the area redevelopment, this property was deemed an area needed redevelopment to expand development beyond the 72,000 square foot new municipal building, which included the pad site, as the mayor mentioned. So what was partially important here was the ability to offset new debt with new revenue. So that was part of the reason why the redevelopment was done to expand the ability to develop the site. But again, the proposers responded to the RFP that the municipality put out.
And one of the criteria, if I may, was also, have you worked with any other municipalities in doing a P3 project? And Brandywine had done extensive work in Jersey City with a new municipal facility, to which we did background. Our administrator spoke to officials in Jersey City as to that. So they have engaged in these types of entities in the past. So that while they are a very big, to your point, commercial redeveloper around the country, they also have experience with doing these types of redevelopments for municipal entities.
Well, I assume that they would have experience doing a public complex, housing offices, but as stated, it is a search for ruralities to offset debt with revenue. And I would just again reiterate that the quest for rentals is important. But what's more important is sound, prudent development. And I would say that when I look at the type of developer this is, they are a very significant commercial development that looks to me to do very intense kind of projects. And I did look on the website and look at many of their projects. So I just want to...
Thank you, Mr. Chico. Your time's up.
Yeah, no.
It's nice to meet you in person.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Excuse me, you gave additional time to many other people here tonight.
I didn't call on you, ma'am.
All right,
Is
I'm
there
pointing
anyone
out an
else who'd like to make
OPMA
a public
violation.
comment?
All right, you have an obligation to...
Is there anyone else who'd like to make a public
Your rules,
comment?
you need to exercise
Seeing
your
no
rules
members of the public- Yes,
evenly.
Ms. Bound, if you continue to be out of order, I will be asking for your removal. Thank you.
I was in compliance with the
You're still
OPMA.
speaking.
And I am in compliance with the OPMA. It gives me the right to speak to you when there is an OPMA violation.
Sir, please, it's your time.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, citizens and mayor and council. My name is Jeffrey King. I have come from Middletown to speak to you tonight about the issue of cannabis. And I went to River Plaza, Thompson, and South, and I was a student at Brookdale with Mr. Mercantante in his class, actually, in 1995. So I really do have director of planning at the time, you know. So I have a lot of love in my heart for Middletown, and definitely share your concern to have the best interests of the citizens and the municipality in mind. I won't rehash things that we've already talked about. I just have a few points that I think weren't clear to me, at least. I think it's definitely premature to talk about this in terms that you're speaking, and I think that we all agree that it's a lot of unknowns. The statute hasn't even been through committee yet, so interpreting it is just a matter of conjecture, and anyone can kick around numbers. So I'd really like to know more about that $300,000 figure, and divided by 565, I get $530,000, like $500,000. Okay, well, I have to do my math, because I know in Aspen, Colorado, it's out, the revenue is more than it is for alcohol.
It's $9 million, right, divided by 565. 3% of 300 million is what they're offering.
You gotta divide the 565 by 3% that we get. Okay, all right, so.
Clearly wasn't a math class at Brookdale.
Okay. No, it's a public forum, so this is not going to be a settled issue. And another point is that the statute hasn't been clarified as to whether towns that opt out get nothing. So that's not dividing it by 565. The dry towns will get nothing, so we're going to be talking about just the towns that are welcome.
One thing that's important to keep in mind too about the way the draft legislation works is that the towns, if you recall, the state tax on the products began at I think 12 or 13%, and then eventually go up to 25%. The town's 3% stays 3%.
Okay.
Maybe that should graduate as the same as the state's revenue graduates, and it makes it a little bit more fairer for towns.
And actually, I had my numbers backwards too, so my apologies. So if you do the 9 million divided by 565, I think it's just over 16,000. 15,000, not 50.
Okay, well, we'll explore that as we hear the bill in committee. We'll learn more details. But I will say that I think it's premature to be as far ahead of it as you are. I appreciate the conversation. It's very complicated. There's a lot to think about. I mean, if I wanted to decide whether I had more alcohol, I think more is definitely not good, because it's a terrible, dangerous, addictive drug with terrible consequences. So what about if we had a choice to have less alcohol? What if we could close some of these bars and liquor stores? And what if we didn't have any more breweries opening up? Because breweries are everywhere now, and I don't see anyone proactively fighting against more of that. So the hypocrisy with tobacco and alcohol in some places, not here, but I'm concerned about that, and I feel discriminated against as a peaceful, tax-paying, law-abiding cannabis consumer. I feel the stigma and the demonization. And you're not against medical, but I don't hear you supporting it, which I think the patients are asking for you to do. I think they're saying we need a dispensary closer for medical patients. There's none in all of Monmouth County. All of the 11th legislative district, 4th congressional district, there's nothing for any of the patients. I think that's terrible, and I think that all the leadership of both parties should say, we need to change that. As far as the black market right now, it's all underground, and we can't check the safety of it, we can't regulate it. It's just the Wild West. We're not getting any benefits, but yet we still have all the expenses. New Jersey has spent more than $1 billion in the last decade on law enforcement against marijuana possession. Every 22 minutes, there's a New Jersey arrested. 24,000 possession arrests a year. This is according to the ACLU and the NAACP. I didn't make this up. I think that's a travesty. Black people in New Jersey are arrested for possession at a rate nearly 3 times higher than white people, despite similar rates of usage. I didn't hear the freeholders mention that in their resolution, and I think that is extremely important to
to put out there in public in one of your whereases. If you're going to be against the consequences, then please consider the whole picture, and the status quo right now is failing a lot of the residents. It's a critical issue of civil rights and social justice. I appreciate your time listening to us and considering this. Please keep an open mind. Please don't jump to conclusions, don't make a mistake, and put this borough on the wrong side of history.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to make a comment? Leo? Oh, I'm sorry. You're next. I'm sorry. Leo, come on down. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Yes, for stopping at 121 Cranberry Court, River Plaza, Shady Oaks. The two gentlemen spoke about Agenda H, consent agenda. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. Basically, you want $25,000, as I understand it, $25,000 to get an architect to have some kind of design for the restoration, renovation. I don't think there's any total replacement of the town hall complex.
There'll be a replacement.
That's an escrow, that's an escrow just to pay for professional fees during the negotiation process. The township already hired architects and the planner to prepare a redevelopment plan and potential bid space evaluations of the township's needs. That's work, we're not, you have to go through a legal process under the redevelopment law.
Keep in mind, so just to explain, so when we do a redevelopment plan or redevelopment area designation, there's a plan done. At that stage, the plans are sort of conceptual, make sure things fit, generally where things are going to go. Once we decide to select a developer, then it gets a lot more detailed. Now you need a complete set of engineering and architectural drawings that are, very, very expensive to prepare. So at that point, you've made a commitment that you're going to go forward with it. So we're not there yet. We've just got the plan, which is a kind of a broad, general plan.
When you get private entrepreneurs to contribute money to this program, then you're going to have to probably bond, right?
That's not the plan at this point.
The whole point.
The proposals were provided with financing offers that would provide at least a purchase scenario.
And then offset the cost with revenue based on the ad sites.
There'll be no bonding.
No.
Well,
Are you happy? Are you happy
I
with that?
I will not rest in peace, but I'll rest in sleep tonight. And just about cannabis, this is a very complicated matter. We're ignoring the FDA, we're ignoring somebody address it, the banking problem of these retailers of cannabis like Colorado and the states. One of them, I think it's in National Times Weekly, he went bankrupt because the bank would no longer take his money because of legal complications at federal level. So he went bankrupt because that out of business. Anytime Eisenhower was president in the 50s, because of his experience in needing roads to move military people and mechanized vehicles and whatnot, he found out that you need a military road all over the place. So you have the interstate highway, which are military roads all throughout 50 states. And because they're military roads, the federal government, by order of the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the United States, can shut every single interstate highway down. Secondly, if they legalize in this state the retail sale, for whatever reasons, good or bad, if they sell it retail if somebody stopped on an interstate highway from New York to Baltimore, I-95, they are being caught with marijuana, they're in violation of the law against the federal government. And so then we have the problem, will the federal government treat that kind of incident with non-enforcement of the law the way they have done with illegal immigrants, just open season to come right into the United States. So there are a lot of other issues, stone driving, whatever. Last comment, please. No one said it here tonight, okay, as far as I can recall, but it has been said for years in and year out, the same arguments used. Marijuana is a gateway to other drugs. Now we heard tonight, marijuana is a gateway out of hard drugs. That's interesting. So I don't know whether that's a good counter argument.
Leo,
By the
thank
way, the doctors use methadone, and and the police have saved lives. Have saved lives with people on opioids.
Thanks, Leo. We'll see you at the next meeting. Thanks, Leo.
I'd like to speak at the end of the meeting, too.
We love it. We love it. Yes, sir.
My name is Vincent Joy, I'm from Middletown, resident, live at 532 Center Ave in Middletown. And I appreciate the fact that number is being honest. And that means a lot to me, a resident of Middletown, paying taxes in this town, and seeing what's really going on in this town. But for everyone to sit here and say that there's no problems in Middletown, drives me crazy, because it's not only because there's kids in the schools in this township, but the heroin problem in this town is unbelievable. You know, and if you see what's going on in these legal states for recreational, the heroin problem is dropping in these states. So you want to talk about the money that we're not getting from recreational, what about the money from the state and heroin problem? Because I don't know the numbers about the Narcan in this town, but the numbers in other towns with the Narcan that they're giving to people from overdoses is unbelievable. The amount of money the townships are paying for this. So the amount of money that we may save in this town by doing something different, why not try it? How do you think, you come back a year later and say, we're going to put yours in place, but why not try it?
So you can't.
Why can't you do it?
Once you allow it and someone's in there, you cannot rezone. See, that's a challenge.
But my point is not the fact that you make the decision now, but to think about it. Because I have 7-year-olds.
Which we are.
No, I know you are. But I'm saying, I have a 7-year-old and an 18-month-old right now in Middletown. And to see what NewJersey.com came out with a study last year, and then Middletown is number 12 heroin use in the state. That's a problem. That's a problem. Major problem. And that's what really needs to be addressed. If we can save some of these kids in this town by the opioid problem, why not try it?
So Mr. Joy, I totally appreciate, I agree with you. Mr. Perry and I attended the session on Saturday at the Drug and Alcohol Alliance, in which the guests were Middletown Medical, which is the methadone clinic. And Mr. Perry can share some thoughts, but the question was asked by both me and Mr. Perry to them. They are the medical professionals. I don't pretend to be a medical professional too, but these are people who are treating heroin addiction, opioid addiction. And the question was asked specifically by me and then by my colleague as to that Colorado report, which I have read about opioids and credential reduction. And the answer that I got was kind of staggering from the clinic and from the counselors at the Alliance, Drug and Alcohol Alliance in Middletown. And the answer I got was, from the Middletown Medical, from the professionals was, while we don't want to treat anybody, right? We want to have zero addiction. And while it's, we're using methadone and clearly, might sound like a paradoxical answer, but they actually believe that legalization will increase opioid addiction. Now, not for me to judge.
I agree.
Right, not for me to judge. Their viewpoint was that not that it be a gateway, but that ultimately you potentially will chase a higher high if you were an addict. Now, not for me, I have no idea, I'm just telling you what they, right, Mr. Perry, like, we asked, so it's just a lot of.
I take my chance. I love the kids, I started looking at me. But I was a heroin addict, I was using now for 15 years. The reason why, the reason I got into heroin first of all was for doctor. I had major back problems, Demerol was what brought me to heroin. So the doctor says to me, oh, we're gonna cut you off. My body don't know the difference between legal heroin and heroin off the street. So I ended up using heroin. And I was homeless in Penn Station for almost a year and a half, eating out of garbage cans, do whatever it took to get one more. And the reason why I stay clean today off of heroin is because of cannabis. Because I have major back problems, 2 failed back surgeries, and you know what? Doctors still to this day, I tell them I'm a heroin addict. To this day, I'll give you smokings. I rotated my surgery 2 months ago, and they gave me a prescription Percocet. Even though I told them what the problem was, they still do the same stuff. So don't get me wrong when I say this to you, but I don't believe what these doctors are saying. Because the same doctors give me the opiates that almost kill me.
I'm not arguing, I'm just talking about quitting people.
But when you say a scientist or a doctor said something, don't.
No,
I don't believe it.
I just said it was the professional.
I understand. I understand from my experience.
I understand.
Is that I came from hope, died doping, living in the streets of New York City. To then graduate from Upwards of business degree, back to Upwards again for my second degree. You know what I'm saying? So you can't tell me that cannabis is on the same level. And for Middletown to come out here and say, there's no problem, Middletown's safe, I agree with what you're saying, but you know what? Next neighbors agree that when his house was raided 3 times, he's back out selling heroin again. So, you know what I'm saying? I agree with what you're saying, but as a Middletown resident, I disagree. Because there's a lot of problems in this town that need to be addressed today, tomorrow, and months from down the line. We can't keep pushing this shit down the road. That's what happens in this town. We wipe it over, there's nothing going on. Come live by me, I'll show you what's going on.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who'd like to make a public comment tonight? Seeing no other members of the public wishing to make any remarks, I move to close public portion and adjourn.
Committeeman Fiore. Committeeman Perry.
Yes.
Committeeman Hyde.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Silverino.
Yes.
Mayor Murray.
Yes.
Motion